The only thing Soulja Boy is going to be cranking is a cease and desist from Nintendo. Yo, what is good everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got some great topics for you guys. So let's go ahead and hop into the first one, and that is this whole Soulja Boy console. Look guys, didn't want to talk about it again, but I've got to talk about it at this point because this is cease and desist territory. This is pretty much ripping off. This is illegal, pirated type of stuff, which we already talked about before, but coming from a famous rapper to have somebody like him putting his name on something that's as egregious as this, we've got to talk about it. Shout outs to all the YouTubers, specifically with John from Spawnwave, who put up a little clip of the interface of this console. And man, I just want to say real quick about the interface. This looks like a 5th grade student did this for like a tech class or something like that. The interface of this console is absolutely horrible, but it even gets worse, guys. Once you start actually going into the games, you start looking at what it actually has, and there is definitely 100% going to be a problem with this, and I expect Soulja Boy to be getting a cease and desist. You have Donkey Kong, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario World, you have Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, you have Kirby on here. There are just a litany of games. Heck, Link to the Past is even on here. There are so many Super Nintendo and other ripped off games on here. This is cease and desist written all over it. Soulja Boy, the jig is up. We're seeing what you're doing here. I'm not sure what type of legal maneuvering you can do to get yourself out of this one, but I expect that cease and desist coming from Nintendo anytime at this point. And unfortunately for Soulja Boy, these consoles and him must be stopped. You can't sit here, be a famous rapper, and attach your name to these type of products, then jack up the price to the levels that you've jacked them up for essentially just a emulator out there that you can get for a lot cheaper, which shouldn't even be sold in the first place because they're stealing intellectual property, not only from Nintendo, but from other companies as well. This is just a ridiculous type of thing to do, and Soulja Boy, man, like, I'm not sure what's going to happen with this console, what's going down here. Shout outs to everybody who linked the vids and who are talking about this and everything, but I will say this with Soulja Boy and these consoles here. One, I understand what the man is trying to do. He's trying to run his business. I get that. But you have to run a legal business. You can't sit here and sell emulated games and attach your names to the Soulja console. Then on top of that, you go out there and you taunt everybody who's talking about it and who isn't as thrilled as you are that you're selling an emulator with pirated illegal games on there that they're ripping off from Nintendo. Then you get mad at other people saying that they're just hating and all that, when that's not the case. If you made a legitimate console, I think people would be somewhat excited about that. But you're not making a legitimate console. You are making an emulator. Not even making it. You're just buying an emulator from somewhere else that's already done, then just attaching your name onto it, which people do that for other businesses, but they do it for other legal stuff. This is not legal. You cannot do this in this type of way, Soulja Boy. And then on top of that, you start talking about you want to get into the gaming industry and the tech and start like a gaming team and all of that. Well, are you going to rip off other people's players too? I mean, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to illegally put in things that you shouldn't be doing? These are the type of things that won't get people to trust you if you want to get more into the tech and into the actual gaming industry. If you want to get into the piracy industry, then that's fine. But if you want to get into the actual real gaming industry, you can't be doing these type of things to where people can look at you in this way. And especially content creators and other people who talk about games on a normal basis. You want to probably get on their good side, or at least release a product that can be looked at in a certain way. And there is a multitude of ways that you could have done this, especially if you're trying to charge $200 or so for these systems, right? 150 to 200. You could have easily made a legitimate product, okay, and maybe even have like Android and stuff like that, and that probably would have been not too bad. You know, that might have been something that you could have put out there and people would have liked a little bit more than something like this, because the only people that are buying this, it seems like YouTubers. I mean, pretty much that's it, right? I mean, that's really all the press that this is getting. So maybe they've said before, or at least I've heard this term, like any type of publicity is good publicity, but I'm not so sure in this case, because cease and desist is not good publicity, because this is going to get the attention of Nintendo and all these other companies, and you will be getting a cease and desist because of this. Now, like I said, I'm not sure if there's any other types of ways Soulja Boy can wrangle himself out of this one or fandangle himself out of it. I'm not sure what he's going to do. Not trying to hate on the man for trying to run a business. I am just saying the way that he's doing it is not the right way when you're trying to get seriously into the game industry like he says he's trying to do. So what do you guys think about this when it comes to this interface and when it comes to these games being on here? Clearly ripped straight from Nintendo. These ROMs that are on here ripped straight from something else that you can get even cheaper. What do you guys think about all of this? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Alright, now moving on to the next topic here. Apparently the Australian Games Board does not know what an RPG is or a role-playing game, because they have given the award of role-playing game of the year to Detroit Become Human. Yes, let me repeat that. The Australian Games Awards have given Detroit Become Human wins role-playing game of the year, and I don't understand how they think that this is a role-playing game. And I'm guaranteeing you the developers over there who made Detroit are probably thinking like, thank you that we got RPG of the year. This is not an RPG. No matter what way you try to sit here and say that, oh, well, you're playing as a role, so therefore, no. Then that means any game is a role-playing game. Any game where you have a character and you're playing as that role is a role-playing game. When you play Call of Duty and you're playing as General Buttkiss or whatever his name is, I don't know what the names in Call of Duty are. Lieutenant, Army Sergeant, whatever they are. Press F to pay your respects. Like you're playing as him, that's a role. He's a person. That's a role-playing game, right? No. No. Role-playing game traditionally defined as what you do as you grow into a role. You level into that role. You have leveling, you have stats, you have boosts, you have those type of things that you grow as your role as that character. Not I sit there and play a movie game where I'm picking different consequences and then therefore I play a role that way. If that was the case, then freaking everything, nearly everything is a role-playing game. And the Australian Game Awards has taken their own definition, or what they want to feel the definition is, and kind of transform that in order to give Detroit Become Human a award. I'm not really sure what's going on. Now, I know what some people are going to say, well, what about Monster Hunter World here in the US? That won RPG of the year. But at least Monster Hunter, one, you actually have leveling, you have character progression, you have things that you can get better with your weapons and all that, which fits you into your role in a role-playing game. This isn't even anything close to that. Now, I don't think Monster Hunter World is as much of a role-playing game as like a real role-playing game like an Octopath Traveler or like a Dragon Quest or something like that. However, it's a far better pick than Detroit Become Human. This is classified as an action-adventure game on Sony's own website, and I have not heard a single person who's played this game say that this is a role-playing game, an RPG. There's not a single person, there's not one classification or category that says that Detroit Become Human is an RPG game. This is a complete just rogue type of games awards. I'm not sure what they're trying to do over there or what this games board was thinking over there in Australia, but you guys are definitely wrong. Detroit Become Human is not a role-playing game, and it's ridiculous that you guys would give it role-playing game of the year when there were far other real role-playing games that deserve that award, like Octopath Traveler, Torn of the Golden Country, and also Dragon Quest 11. There's so many other games that they could have picked that were actual real role-playing games, and they pick a game that's not a role-playing game at all. So what do you guys think about the Australian board not knowing what a role-playing game is? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the final topic here, we do have a brand new update for Warframe on the Nintendo Switch. There's a lot of great additions to this game, and I'm not gonna go over everything because there's so much stuff, but I will go over the main points of this. And the best thing that they fixed is the controls in this one and the interface for using motion controls. So let's start off with the motion controls first. You can actually use motion controls now to control the cursor on the screen when you're picking different equipment and stuff like that. They've also fixed and made the motion controls better in the game, so you should get better response timing. The fluid nature of the controls should be better, and so much more. So make sure you hop in there and tinker with your controls a bit. They also fixed the dead zones in the game as well when aiming. Things got a little bit tough for some people with the dead zones trying to aim in this game. They had a big error, and they did announce that, and it's been completely fixed at this point. They said something around that you needed like 50% of the movement before it actually started, so the dead zones were kind of out of whack. and that was interesting because I thought the game was really good, although you could feel that a little bit, so they fixed that as well, and they did say that was a big error on their part. They also made the graphics better. There's some more graphics options as well, so if you have not booted up Warframe in some time, or if you haven't tried it out at all, now is a great time to kind of hop into Warframe and get those updates and changes. They also greatly improved the loading time as well when going to the open world parts and back, because those could get ridiculously long. So overall, a lot of great adjustments and fixes to Warframe on the Nintendo Switch. I think they did an amazing job with this game, and even getting more updates to fix things and all this stuff that they have here, guys. It's really cool, so make sure you check out the link in the description below, get the full story there. But basically, here is the gist of it. You're going to be able to get better performance, more graphics options, better controls, better motion controls as well, and just a cleaner and better playing game just overall. So check out the update, make sure you get that and pick up Warframe. It's free to play. It's a really good game, probably the best free to play game that I've ever played in my life. So make sure you guys check that out when you do get an opportunity, or if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and hop in. It's waiting for you and it's really good. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Really helps us spread the content of PlayerEssence across the internet and just to YouTube. Also, make sure you check out our Patreon, Twitch, and YouTube live gaming pages and consider supporting PlayerEssence. When you do so, it gets you access to all sorts of cool benefits, perks, rewards, and emotes via YouTube membership. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for the latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in for the next video. Peace.